Ladybug month-long fanfiction. Chapter Day 16. Idiots. The world is total darkness. He blinks many times to bring light back into it. Eventually, it works and he can see his surroundings. Shot slowly raises himself from the ground and looks around in confusion. What is happening? Where is he? All he can remember is a flash of light from the Yukuma and then being thrown back, but this is definitely not where he'd landed. His back has a sharp pain that bears the memories of being slammed onto a wall, and yet he's in an open field with no walls in sight. He looks around, worried. He's all alone. Where on earth is Ladybug? Had he been moved away from her, or had she been awake and just chased it down? His heartbeat speeds up. It didn't matter how well he knew Ladybug held her ground. He was worried for her. LadyNoir groans and rubs his head. It feels like someone's blowing up a balloon, and God, he doesn't have time for a headache right now. He needs to find Ladybug. It's like an apocalyptic wasteland, only it's not a wasteland. It's all empty, but it's still all intact. Nothing is on fire, thankfully, but it doesn't make him feel any less nervous. Paris, for the first time he's ever seen with his own eyes, is an eerily quiet place with no roaming tourists or locals. On a normal day, there are squeaking bus wheels and teenagers riding on bikes, delivering newspapers. Kids normally play in the parks with their parents or friends, and dogs are yapping on the sidewalks. Ladybug, he calls out, but there is no answer. Ladybug, he calls again. Shot sighs and drags his feet to somewhere that isn't here. His headache is not helping the movement, but he's pushing through via pure determination. Try as he may, he still can't find any movement or flashes of red. Tears prick at his eyes, and though he tries to fight them back, it doesn't help the broken and alone feeling in his chest. He knows that Ladybug would never abandon him, but he's all alone right now without her. He doesn't want to have to figure it all out without her by his side. It's dark and it's bleak, but he knows that. But he needs to not be alone, and he needs to stand next to her just to feel a little more okay. She couldn't have abandoned him, but that rationality is all but covered by panic and fear. LadyNoir still calling out like a lost lamb for Ladybug. He holds his arms crossed over his chest, and God, it feels like it's been hours since he woke up, but it couldn't have been any more than 15 minutes. And no matter what he tells himself, nothing is stopping that little voice in the back of his head that's repeating to him that she's just left him for dead. Shot squeezes his eyes together tightly, like that would stop the emotional pain it brought. Spoiler alert, it didn't. Finally, like an angel sent down from above had disgraced his eyes, he sees a flash of red before arms wrap themselves around his body. Shot wants to react and hug her back, but his body drops like a dead weight, and the shock is keeping his muscles from working. Ladybug's buried into his chest, and he can feel the warm tears seeping into his suit, but he just doesn't care at all. And when his arms finally start working, he embraces her like she just came back from the dead. She makes a choked sound, and though he still can't speak, he just holds her tighter. His eyes squeeze shut, and it's like all of the once heavy air is easy to breathe now, and the sweltering heat feels like a cool spring breeze. Everything feels okay, and that little irrational voice in the back of his head finally shuts up, because how could she consciously abandon him if she's here in his arms right now? How could Ladybug leave him alone for possibly hours, willingly, when she's crying into his chest with relief? You didn't abandon me. Those are the first words he manages to gasp out. Ladybug's shaking stops and she pulls away and stares at him with an incredulous look. "You stupid cat!" she shouts out, startling him. "How could you think that I'd do that?" she continues. Her hands are smacking his arms, and no, it's not hurt. Instead, it feels like a wake-up call from his previously downtrodden state. I would never ever abandon you." Her anger doesn't stop him from wrapping her into another hug. Ladybug is still muttering furious things into the skin on his neck, but he doesn't care, and she probably doesn't either. All that matters is that she's here, and he's here, and they aren't alone anymore. There is an awkward cough behind him, and Chat Noir spins around in a panic. It's just Vibrant, standing with a nervous smile. "Hello," he says. Chat Noir looks at him with a very confused look. "Glad to see you again. Where did you end up?" he asks. "I'm not sure, just an open field," Chat Noir explains. "Where were you two, and why? What even happened? All I remembered is being slammed against a wall and then waking up all alone in an empty field of nothing. There was no one around me," Chat says. Ladybug bites her lip and looks up to him with a worried look. "I think I remember you hitting a building wall right before a flash of light," she says. Her grip on his arm tightens infinitesimally. "After the flash of light, I found myself in this room, and it certainly was not mine, but, it was with..." Her voice trails off and she takes a deep breath. "I was just in a room with Vibrant." A flare of jealousy springs up in Chat Noir's chest. It's dumb, and he knows it, but the knowledge doesn't make him feel any less jealous. Why did he have to wander around a deserted Paris for so long, thinking that he'd never find her again, when Vibrant, of all people, got to wake up with her being right there? That's not fair. That's not fair at all. He must have been scowling, physically, because Ladybug places a hand on his cheek, and the motion brings him out of his envious spiral. "I think that the Akuma put us in the situation that would put us in the most amount of distress," Ladybug says. "They were akumatized because their teacher forced them into a very performative situation that made their social anxiety spike." Vibrant voices his agreement. "That sounds like a reasonable assumption," he tells him. Chat Noir pushes down the flare of annoyance. Normally, he's fine with Vibrant and has never really been the jealous type before. However, this is a very different and difficult situation, and he has to keep his jealous cat side from hissing out in spite. God, if he was to do that, Vibrant would never look at him the same, and Ladybug would never let him forget it. "We should go find the Akuma then," Chat Noir says, standing up and turning to help Ladybug up as well. His slightly possessive side is still out, so he holds her close to his side. It's loose enough so she breaks out if she wants to, but because she makes no move to do so, he takes it as a win and only slightly smirks. "Yeah, good idea," Ladybug says. "Vibrant, see if you can find the civilians and calm them down. I'm sure this is scary for everyone," she instructs. He nods and starts off to find people to help. Chat Noir can't help but let out a breath of relief, even if the superhero and the person behind the mask is a real-life friend of his. "We better fix this soon," Chat mutters. This side of town is just as empty as where he had found himself earlier, but on the occasion he can hear a crashing noise. Ladybug snorts. "Yeah, we should. It's kind of our job," she laughs. "Then let's do it," Chat says. "Together." He can't help but fit that last part in. Ladybug rolls her eyes playfully. She takes in a deep breath and holds her head up high, ready for the fight to come. "Chat? She asks as they start heading towards the noise. "You know I'll never leave and abandon you, right? We're partners, you and me, always and forever. I'd never leave you. Since I woke up, I was looking for you," Ladybug says in a quiet voice. Chat Noir smiles a bit and squeezes her hand because, yeah, they were holding hands. It's comforting, okay? I know that really well, he says. Honestly, it's not surprising to him that being all alone, and especially with that ladybug, is what would cause him the most distress. That's not a deeply rooted hidden fear that's pretty well known.